Hello and welcome to the LowKick MMA show. I'm your host, Ollie Brockett, and I'm joined by none other than Billy Quarantillo, or more commonly referred to as Billy Q. How are you doing, man?
Good, Ali. Thanks for having me, man. I know you're over in the UK. Shout out to my London fans. And yeah, Billy Quarantillo. I appreciate you nailing the name, Billy Q, Billy the Squid. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. How's the weather out there in Tampa? I bet it's lovely.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. It's we have some of the most beautiful weather in the world. This time of year is perfect. School just let out. All the kids are all over town, and things are good. Positive energy, positive vibes.
Oh, happy days. I really want to move out there to Tampa or California. It's sunny every day. Here it's more cloudy every day, so
Yeah.
that's why everyone's so pale.
Yeah, they get mad at me for doing this, but Florida is an amazing place to live. It had I think it gets a bad reputation because we don't want everyone to keep moving here, but it really is a really dope place. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, super cold, probably very similar to London weather with but a lot more snow. But yeah, it rains a lot. It's very gray. It's very I was very pale. I'm getting a little more tan now. I'm still pretty white, but it's
No,
coming
you're definitely
around.
tan, bro. Look at this.
I know it's like a mirror here.
If you've ever watched WWE, you know Sheamus. He's the palest guy I ever know.
Yes, I've heard of it. Is he from Ireland?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Somewhere around there.
he wears
Okay.
that big Celtic cross on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him before.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll get straight into some questions. I just
Okay.
wanted to ask about your last fight in November against Shane Burgos at UFC 268. Sorry. And despite it being a loss on your record, do you feel like the fight has helped you in any way? Because by no means it wasn't like a convincing win. It was a firefight. If it wasn't for the Gaethje and Chandler fight, that would have been probably one of the fights of the night.
Yeah, definitely. They shout out for the UFC. They gave me a nice little bonus. It wasn't 50K, but they took care of me, and I gained a lot from that fight. We didn't get the result we wanted, but sometimes I think God does everything for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I think that was something that I needed to go through to face someone in the top 15, and just can't come up short of the win. That third round, some things could have happened where I could have got the win. But there'll always be a learning lesson for me. And now going into all these other fights, I kind of know what that feels like to be in those kind of firefights, to be with, guys who've been the top 10 in the world for a very long time. And I know what I need to do moving forward with my career to beat those guys.
Super. So, talking about that, obviously the pair that kicked off the main card, it was Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. I just want to ask, did you feel perhaps a little bit overshadowed by it being the fight of the year and you coming out just after it? Did you feel like there was some expectation? Because the roof was off in the Madison Square Garden. I don't know how you could go in there and try and replicate it, but you kind of did.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. That's exactly how I felt. And if you remember, leading up into fight week, really until like the day before, they were supposed to fight after me, so I didn't have any worry about that. They ended up switching the Chito Vera fight and Frankie Edgar, and they switched them. So they went on before us. They started the main card, which we didn't even know that was going to happen until like literally the day before. Because the reason why is because Trevor Whitman didn't want to corner 3 guys in a row, and the 2 title fights were already set. So it was going to be Frankie Edgar versus Chito Vera, which again was a pretty good fight too. Great fight, great finish.
Yeah,
great
front kick as well.
Chito. Exactly, yeah, a crazy front kick finish. But then it was gonna be those guys, then us, then Gaethje Chandler. So we could have been like a little, warm up for that. But yeah, I'll never forget that feeling of I was watching the card at my house. I watched a couple of the fights. There was already a couple big knockouts. If you remember, Chris Barnett, big boy,
yeah,
had that crazy
spinning kick, yeah.
Yes, and then does all these flips and stuff. So I was like, all right, that's obviously getting a bonus. But I can still go out there and have a crazy fight. And then Alex Pereira had a knockout, I believe, before. And then a lot of big fights. So I'm watching that fight, and like I could hear the crowd because I was there for like a few fights before. But I was in the Knicks locker room warming up, and they come out and they start banging, and Gagey rocks him right away, and I could feel like the crowd over me because I was in the
Wow.
locker room, and I was like, oh, like, you know, I didn't really care who won at that point because I'm just thinking about like myself and my own fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, like get a quick finish. You know, the crowd will still have a lot of energy from my fight. Sure enough, Chandler gets back up. He keeps fighting and he survives it. And I could hear the crowd, like they stay at that highest level for like at least, you know, 5-6 minutes in and out, in and out, in and out. And it was insane. So literally in the second round, I'm like walking around the locker room. We were by ourselves. It was just me and my teammate, me and my coaches. And I look at my brother and I'm like, what the hell is this? Because I knew we had to go on after it. So I imagine it's like a really like, it's like a comedian going on like right after like, you know, like Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan or something like that. It's like, good luck, kid. You know, good luck out there. So it was, we made the most of it. But of course, like that fight was fight of the year. I'm a fan. I'm a fight fan. They have, you know, their names are a little bit bigger than ours. You know, of course they're bigger than ours. And plus it's just such a crazy fight. Like they deserved fight of the night, but I had a lot of fun in our fight, and I look forward to events like that and moments like that.
Oh, 100%. I can't wait to see you there because there's no doubt you're only going to go up. So, like you said, with the crowd, the first 5 minutes for me felt like a whole fight, 3-round fight. It didn't feel like 5 minutes. I even watch it back on YouTube, and you know, you watch it back and you think that's just one round. Crazy. So I'm just thinking, you in that locker room, obviously when you get that first like roar of the crowd, obviously you're getting like, oh, I want to be there. I can't wait to, you know, get in there and pump this crowd up. But if it carries on, does it build up the nerves that you gotta be like, shit, this is it?
Yeah. Well, it was you know, I went into that having my last like 4 fights in a row before that were all at the Apex. So I fought once in DC with fans, and I had a bunch of Apex fights, and then we were going to go to Madison Square Garden. So I knew going into that, I'm like, dude, don't put it in. I you know, talking to myself, I would say, you know, don't make this bigger than it is, because, you know, I fight in a cage every single day. I fought in front of fans before. I've been to the main event, you know, on, you know, at least 10 local shows. I've been in big fights before. So sure enough, like they're going crazy for that fight right before. And then by the time we're walking out, the crowd was dead. It was flat. It was, there's a million people there, but like, you know, they're a little excited when we're coming out, but it didn't start until like towards the end of the first round when we're trading. I already busted him. He was already bleeding. I busted him up with some shots. He starts rocking me. We're going back and forth. And then I could hear the crowd like start getting into it. And I'm like, all right, this is what it's about. And it was just an incredible moment. Some moments I'll never forget, especially when I first walked out. So we saw Holly Berry the day before at weigh-ins. And sure enough, when I walk out for like the MSG fight, I'm like, oh man, this MSG, like this in my head, I'm like, this is so cool. Smacking everyone's hands. I run out in the cage. Bruce Buffer's in the cage. I'm running around the cage. I get with my guys. I'm like looking in the corner, turn back over, and Burgos is walking out. And I look across and I see Holly Berry right there, like basically looking at me from across the cage. And I'm like, yo, is this like for real? Like this is what my life is now. So it was one of those surreal moments where I'm like, holy shit, like that's you know,
crazy.
Super famous actress and like someone who I've watched in like, you know, a few movies, and then to have like, you know, Bruce Buffer and Dana White and MSG and Joe Rogan and the whole crew, like it was something I'll never forget. But I definitely want to get that one back.
It's nice to hear you say that, like you're not just too focused on the fight. You can appreciate that moment, and that's something I appreciate because it takes you out. It takes the anxiety away. However, like we have been just talking about the firefights, the Gaethje and Chandler fight, and your fight between Burgos. But obviously, as much as fans love them, you saw it this year with Chimaev and Burns, Cater and Katse. But these are fights that will inevitably like harm your career because of health reasons. Are these just fights that you focus to stay away from, or is it just something that if it happens, you're happy to go along with it and you'll just adjust?
Yeah, so I never most fighters, I don't know if they'll all tell you this, but I don't think about my health at all when I go in there. It's like, for me, I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can. Of course, I want to play defense and not get hit and not get choked. But yeah, I'm going there to win. So to answer your question, if I match up well with someone where I think a firefight is what needs to happen, and that's kind of what I felt with Burgos. I felt like I needed to get in a firefight with him. I didn't want to stand and trade and have a boxing match. Even though looking back, I should have done something to address those leg kicks more.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a fight where, like, I knew I wasn't going to get an easy takedown. I knew I wasn't going to be able to push him up against the cage and wear him out. So I knew I had to hurt him early, and I wanted to do that anyway, because I knew I had so many more eyes on me. I wanted them to remember, be like, dude, Billy Q, he fucking throws. Like, he's there to knock your head off. He's going to bust you up. It's going to be a dogfight. So I want people to remember that. And for that situation, it worked out where that style is what I thought gave me the best chance of winning, even though there's some adjustments I needed to make.
That's the result of going to the judge, isn't it? Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. You saw the Holly Holm the other weekend. You can argue it, but it's the fight game. But talking about matchups, we'll go away from UFC 268. But since you've had that time off since November, how are you feeling ahead of your next matchup against Bill Algeo, which you've named the Battle of the Bills, which is set to take place on July 16th? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, Battle of the Bills. I'm a Game of Thrones guy. I used to love those battles and the uniqueness with each battle, and just throughout history. Thinking of wars and thinking of stuff like that. I know people will bust my balls because it's not like we're going in fighting and killing each other, but it's a pretty barbaric thing that we do. We're just going there and fighting with essentially no rules. The only rules are to keep the fight going. So yeah, Battle of the Bills, we have a lot of similarities. He's a tough kid from Pennsylvania, which I don't know if you guys know in the UK, but Pennsylvania is known to have like tough, blue collar, just really tough, not afraid to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
Type of environment. It's cold. It's very similar to Buffalo, where I grew up, where you get people that work for their money. They're hard workers. And I know Bill, that's what Bill is. He's just a tough dude. He's very good everywhere. He's got good grappling, got good striking. But I really do like the matchup. I like how I match up with him in everywhere the fight goes. And every fight is an opportunity for me to show people a new level to my game. And I think these last 6 months, since I fought last, I've been getting better and better and better. I had some injuries that I was kind of dealing with, which most fighters are. I don't want to complain or anything, but dealing with a little stuff here and there. But by the time I got the fight news, I'm in probably the best shape I've ever been in going into a 8-week training camp.
Oh wow! So with you both guys being black belts, obviously, do you see this fight sticking on the feet for longer periods of time? Might give you a chance to get that bonus from Uncle Dana this time. Or if so, how are you planning to approach this fight? Is there anything specific you're focusing on during training camp?
Yeah, well, obviously, I don't want to give you too many specifics away with watching it. I'm not giving him the whole game plan. But yeah, what I like about Bill is he's an exciting fighter. I'm sure we would, if we grew up in the same neighborhood, we'd probably be friends. He seems like a cool guy, family man, just like myself. And but everything he does is stuff that I've worked too. Like he's a Muay Thai fighter. I've had Muay Thai fights. I've had boxing matches. I've done jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've won jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've been in these big fights. He's been in big fights. I've had a couple more UFC fights, and he lost on his contender fight. So there's some things that we've both given up. We both given up, had tough losses. So obviously we're both going into this fight. We know what's on the line. Every fight in the UFC, your job's on the line. So we're both going there to win a fight. The UFC, like most promotions, weighs heavy on winning the fight. So we get double the money if we win. So obviously we're both going to do whatever we do to win the fight. For me, it's not the same as MSG, because that was here's a lot of eyes on you. It's the most famous arena. It's on a huge pay-per-view main card. You got to do that. I want to go put on a crazy show for the fans. This one, if it has to be more boring and I win, or it has to be super exciting and I lose, I got to take the win. I got to do whatever it takes to win the fight. But every time I say that, where I'm like, it might be boring, it's never boring. Like I haven't been in a boring fight since the Ultimate Fighter, when I got, my second fight in the Ultimate Fighter. I basically got held down for like 8 minutes against UK Saul Rogers. But that was the last time I've been in what I consider a boring fight. If you watch my fights, like usually some exciting stuff's gonna happen. I have a lot of finishes. I have knockout submissions. I'm very dangerous everywhere. And these last 6 months, I've gotten to work on so many different things that no one's seen. So I'm going to be a much better and smarter fighter than I was in November.
So, like you said, because obviously the fight's going to be in Long Island. Do you think the approach is different because it's not in a stadium like Madison Square Garden with so much history? I know it is in the state of New York where you are from. Is there any pressure there to impress the home fans, or do you just go in there like business as usual and then enjoy it after?
Yeah, I don't think there's any extra pressure. I think if it was, so it's probably like 6 hours from where I grew up. So it's actually pretty far. I love going to Long Island. I'm actually going there next week for a training trip to train with Matt Frivola. He's one of my closest friends, a guy I grew up training with. Ray Longo and their whole crew, and they have so many really good guys. So I'm going there and I'm bringing one of my amateur fighters or one of my pro fighters there, Will Brents. He's fighting in the CFFC 2 days before I'm fighting. So we're both in training camp together, bringing them out there for Long Island. No extra pressure though, because it's not my hometown. If I fought in Buffalo, it would be a little bit different. It'd be a lot more, there'd be, I would sell hundreds of tickets there. But in Long Island, I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot of my friends and family coming from Buffalo. But I don't know. I don't even think there was any extra pressure at MSG. It's always the same. I hate losing. I always want to win, and I hate letting people down. And I also want this thing to this wild, roller coaster that I'm on right now, which is, fighting and doing all kinds of wild stuff and having these crazy fights. I want this to keep going, and I don't want to do it anywhere else besides the UFC. So I got to go out there, take out Bill, and keep going from there. But in the meantime, these next 7 weeks, it's all about winning this fight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, really. My next question was, are you looking for a ranked opponent after this fight? Or are you just purely focused at the job at hand and you don't want to overlook Algeo?
Yeah, so man, I've said after my second fight in the UFC, I want to fight the rank guys. I want to climb. I want to get a title fight. I want to do this. I want to do that, and it's definitely up for grabs next. Obviously, I want to put on exciting fights and I want to win big fights. But I'm 33 years old. I definitely have a chance at this thing. If I go out there and win that third round, I'm ranked 12th in the world, and I would probably be fighting in the top 10. So. I know what it takes to get there. There's a lot of very good matchups along the way. But I don't know. I might not have a name ready by then, but maybe I'll think of someone. But I don't like looking past, the task at hand.
Lovely. Talking about ranked opponents, very recently MMA fans got to see the headliner for that July 16 event between Yari and Ortega. Set to headline. I just wanted to ask your opinions on this matchup because obviously it's got some featherweight implications.
Yeah, a lot of it. Maybe maybe one of them get hurt the night before, and I can step up and main event. No, they're both legit. They're both obviously very talented strikers. I can see myself, fighting one of them one day. I feel like Ortega's learned so much from that Max Holloway fight. He's looked a lot better recently. Yair looked pretty good against Max too, though. He looked pretty good against Max, so it's gonna be a good fight. I don't really know who's gonna win. I'm curious to see who's gonna be a favorite in that fight. I guess Ortega maybe a slight favorite because he looked pretty good in the Volkanovski fight as well. So two tough guys. I got a lot of respect for him. I got my boy Bill Algeo. I'm not even gonna think about those guys, but in the UFC, who knows? Maybe. Who knows who I end up fighting this time or next time or next year. So I'm always keeping an eye on the division, and I'm excited for a lot of the matchups that are in these next couple of months.
Will we be able to see ringside with a beer watching that fight after you fight?
I hope so. I saw I think someone in Arizona got to come back down and watch the fight. So I got a lot of friends that I've gone to Long Island probably 10 times in the past few years. So I got a lot of friends over there in Long Island. We're definitely going to show out. Shout out to my boy Matt Frivola. I'm hoping he gets on that card. He was trying to fight your boy Patty, and they didn't give him the fight, which is upsetting. We really wanted to see that fight. I could have went over to London too with him. Since he's not fighting on that London card, I really hope he gets on my card now, because that's his hometown. He's got a million fans there, and it would be cool. We've fought on the same card a few times before, a couple of times as an amateur and once as pros, but we've never done it in the UFC, which would be really cool because since 2010, it was both of our goal to get to the UFC. I got on the Ultimate Fighter first, and they didn't let me in, and he got on the Contender Series first, and he got in. Then they gave me a Contender Series fight, and I got in, and now we've both been.
It's a little bit of a back and forth in competition.
Exactly. But it's we're family. We've both been to each other's wedding. I was just at his brother's wedding too.
Oh, wow.
So as much as we were competing, and I also got first fight night bonus too. but we do compete with each other, but I hope he keeps winning and I keep winning, and we both just keep killing it in the UFC. And we're gonna tell our kids about it one day of how we came up together in 2010. So it's a pretty cool story, and it'd be really cool if he got on that card, and we'd blow the roof off that place.
So whoever gets that belt first has definitely got bragging rights for their life.
Yeah, there's a couple more. There's a couple things like he's done interviews with Joe Rogan. I think like 2 or 3 times. I'm 4-2 in the UFC, but I'm 0-2 with Rogan. So he's never interviewed me. But I got the first fight night bonus. He's still working on that. I got the first sports card, the first Panini. Hold on. Yeah, one of these. Hold on, I got one here. I got this first card. Here, and I got this card, but he got the first. He actually has the first NFT with the UFC, and it says from his last knockout. So we're just going back and forth, and it's friendly competition, but I guarantee it's making us both better.
Oh yeah, that definitely motivates. I know if my mate is getting things that I'm not having, he's going to be digging into me. But yeah, with this last couple of questions, do you know this fight card you're on? Are you hoping to get on the main card?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, man. I'm not one of those guys that would complain really too much about it. I'll make my jokes on Twitter and be like, you guys got to tell the UFC to bump me on that main card. At the end of the day, the pay's the same. There's probably not as many views. I don't know what the TV, because I heard, a rumor has it that they wanted this card to be with fans because it's going to be on ABC, which is like a United States national channel here. So that'd be really cool. Just the more eyes, the better. I'm trying to blow up and win a few more fights and get wealthy off this thing. So if I could get on the main card, that'd be great. If we gotta have a dog fight on the prelims to get things going, so be it.
Oh man, I can't wait. I just want to get your final predictions for the fight. How do you see it going down, honestly?
Without giving too much away, I know it's going to be a good fight. Both of us are super high level strikers. We both know how to grapple. Both black belts in jiu-jitsu. We both have, pressure's not going to get to either one of us. We both have big gas tanks. So someone's got to go out there and get a finish. He's had a lot of decisions in the UFC. I've had more finishes, but I'm not taking him lightly. He's finished a lot of guys to get to the UFC, and I'm sure he's itching to get that that first finish. So it's going to be a dogfight. At the end of the day, Billy Q's getting his hand raised. Long Island. I'm not putting this much work in to lose. This is something I've been dreaming about since I was a kid. When I knew I wanted to do something like this even before the UFC. And I try to go into every UFC fight like it was my first UFC fight, where I was like, going into that first UFC fight, you're like, I'm not fucking around. I'm going there to take this dude out. I'm going to do everything I can do to beat this guy. And that's what I'm doing in this training camp. I got to train smart, train hard, and go out there and put on a show and show everyone what I'm capable of.
Yeah, man. He's an awkward striker, but I see you getting the finish. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a fire fest. But before you go, I just want to give you a chance to shout out any sponsors or any people you want to get a shout out to.
All right, yeah, let me give a shout out to my guy, Once Upon a Coconut. I got to plug some brands. My man, John Charando, Once Upon a Coconut, they've been sponsoring me. You see me posting with them all the time.
Yeah.
They're really taking care of me, and them and Punched Energy and No Judges Needed. Like, without them, I would not be able to do this full time. And luckily, I got guys like that around me. Troy Regano, John Charando, everyone at my gym and everything. Without them, I'm not here. I don't get a chance to talk to everyone and do interviews and hang out when I want to hang out and train where I want to train.
That's lovely, man. Before you go, I'll leave you with a little joke. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Wait, hold on. Say that again.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
A Star Wars fan. I've seen. People would call me a phony if I said I'm a huge fan, but I've seen most of them. I've seen the first three, which were like the later ones, then episodes 1, 2, and 3. So, what's the question?
Oh no, it's not a question. I just got a little joke to leave with you, so you can tell your kids or something.
Okay, all right. I like jokes.
Well, it's a little dad joke, so it's a terrible joke. So it'll get you some likes.
I'm gonna be a dad in September, so I'm writing them down.
Yeah, we'll get you back on. I'll give you some more. But why didn't Han Solo enjoy a steak for dinner?
Why didn't Han Solo enjoy his steak dinner? Why?
It was chewy.
It was chewy.
It's poor, man.
He was eating his friend Chewy. Man. Oh, that's tough. All right, I like it.
I'll leave you with a bad joke. I thought that was the best way to end. But honestly, thank you for giving your time. It's been lovely to talk to you. But I'll let you get back to arranging your new gym.
Thanks, man. My pleasure. LowKick MMA. I got you guys.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.